Good morning, folks, and welcome to Swing Trading Today. This is Bob Desmond, and it is 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, February the 5th. So what we're going to go over this morning, obviously the pre-market futures. We're also going to go over some member stock chart requests. We're going to go over the charts of Roku, RLKU, Canopy Growth, and Baidu. And we'll also go over Tesla. I spoke about Tesla yesterday, and I think over the weekend, and we are currently short of Tesla. We'll talk about that a little bit and discuss where I think we may be going with Tesla and what our game plan will be. And if we do pull back this morning, will we book our profits and where? So let's begin. The futures are spiking big time. Let's begin with the economic data that was released yesterday. And yesterday, being Tuesday, we had factory orders which were released. It was a beat on factory orders, and it was a significant beat. However, here, and this is a trend that we've been seeing of late, where we get reported by the government a number for a previous period, and they revise down the prior month's read. In the case of factory orders, we had a beat for the month of December. However, what they do is, for November, they revise down the durable goods, non-durable goods. In November, the orders were revised down to show 1.2% decline instead of a 0.7% increase, which was previously reported. So the markets took the headline number, of course, and they ignored the November revision, which is frankly more important. We saw a big contraction in factory orders in November. Moving on to today, we have the ADP employment number, the trade deficit. Nobody cares about the trade deficit anymore. In the 70s, early 80s, that would move the market. Nobody cares anymore. ISM non-manufacturing index, interesting. Watch that. That comes out at 10 a.m. The ADP number comes out at 8:15 a.m. And then, of course, on Friday, the pimp Mac Daddy of them all in terms of economic data, that will be non-farm payrolls. So, a lot of economic data. You have a couple of Fed heads coming out tomorrow. Productivity will be coming out tomorrow. Watch these numbers, especially on the heels of what you're seeing, weakness in gold and strength in the US dollar. If you see weakness in these numbers, you may see a pause in the pullback on gold and a pause in the rally in the dollar. Let's get to the pre-market activity. All right, so we're going to begin with the spiders. They are up. As a matter of fact, let's go to the E-minis. E-minis are better this time of day. And we have broken out above an upper band of resistance, and we closed there this morning. This was our target. And we have pierced it this morning. Now we need to see whether or not this holds. I think they'll come in and do a retest of the support level and in all probability take it higher. They're dead set on taking this market up to new all-time highs again, just as they did the NASDAQ yesterday. Or was the NASDAQ? Yeah, the NASDAQ. I know the Qs were up too, very big. Let's take a look at Speaking of the NASDAQ, go to the NASDAQ 100. New highs today. One thing to keep in mind here is that volume, if you bring up the Qs yesterday, it was good. But when you take a look at the spiders, not so good. Came in well below average and was selling off the highs of the day. So while we look great right now, a kind of a tell that the market is being manipulated is when you see topping tails on top of the candlesticks on a daily basis. Let's see whether or not we get that today. Or do we close at the highs of the day? Moving on to, forget the Dow. Let's go to the dollar. The dollar back above 98. This is the Dixie. Very strong chart. It looks as though we're going higher. Sticking with currencies, let's go to the euro. Weak and getting weaker. Japanese yen. What the hell happened here? Oh, forget that. I don't know what I just did. It was weak. Bitcoin. It's up. It's been volatile of late. It broke out on a 4-hour basis. It'll probably press higher here. I don't see a trade to be had. Taking a look at gold. I didn't want to look at this. All right, so I woke up at about 1:30 this morning, and I saw that we were up about $7.20 on gold. But I saw the way we closed out. I showed it on Market Wrap yesterday that we were seeing a lot of topping action on the 1-hour candlesticks, and I knew it wouldn't hold. And sure enough, when I woke up at around 4:10 this morning, gold had pulled back dramatically and in fact flashed an outside reversal bar or a bearish key reversal, whatever you want to call it. This is bad. And we need to see now. Did we take out yesterday? We took out yesterday's lows this morning. So this is not good. And what's causing this? What's causing this is you have the dollar rallying, you have yields rising, and you have the stock market rallying. And all three of those are causing the perfect storm for gold at current. Let's see whether or not we can hold support here. It limped it up all night long. This is a 30-minute chart. Limped it up all night long, then hammered it. Why? They just found a piece of news here. Futures soar on media reports of drug breakthroughs for coronavirus. And as I mentioned yesterday, the headlines are beginning to die down some. This will become probably all about nothing, the entire coronavirus scare. Let's go to oil. Oil caught a bid. It made new lows yesterday. Let's clean this up. Start anew. Let's do this. Boom. There we go. Better. All right. So new upper band of resistance. And we have broken out above this upper band of resistance. And we may, just may, be putting in a new higher low here. Now, I believe OPEC did meet yesterday. The headline was a $500,000 barrel production cut. I don't know whether or not that's fact or fiction yet. Good morning, Trent. Good morning, Sam. Trent, S&P has smelled a bull trap. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised. Excuse me, folks. My voice is going. My apologies. Yeah, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised, especially given the topping tails on the daily charts, Trent. I agree with you. Hello, Bob. S&P futures. LOL. I think Sam is of the same opinion. Yeah, guys, I'm with you. All right, so oil looking good here, possibly on the heels of an OPEC cut, but I have a feeling that as OPEC cuts, the U.S. will produce more, and this cascading effect will just continue. Let's take a look at nat gas, which has been really, really weak of late. We'll go to Palladium after that, because Palladium I spoke about yesterday, and we'll see how that played out. All right, nat gas is still stuck in a trading range. We may be setting up here for an inverted head and shoulder setup on a 4-hour basis. Here's your left shoulder, right here, head, and a rising right shoulder, which would be good. And of course, here's your neckline. RSI still looks good. We spoke about this yesterday. So nat gas, I don't see a trade yet. I see one potentially in the making, but we may have a trade. We'll be looking at the UGAZ as our vehicle of choice for nat gas if we decide to get long. Palladium. I spoke about Palladium yesterday morning, and I thought that we would rally. That was here. We did break out. We're up yet again this morning. And here's the all-time high. Well, I was asked yesterday, do I think it's going to break out to new all-time highs? You know, it's really a supply and demand story, and frankly, I'm not that smart. I don't know if it's all hype, but you know, it's amazing. You see commodities, and you have I remember during the beginning of QE, you had oil surging along with gold, and you had oil just ripping through the roof. And all you had were these naysayers out there saying that it's peak oil, there's no more oil out there, driving the price of oil up. Fast forward, 8 years or so since that point in time, and you got more oil than you know what to do with. So who knows what the truth is? All I can do is say what the charts are implying to me, and it looks as though at a bare minimum we're going to test the highs, and the test is always at the top. So it's a rules-based approach. If we break out to new all-time highs, pull back, retest the breakout point, and then begin to break out yet again, well, the market is spoken. I don't need to be educated in the supply and demands of palladium. I don't need to be a geologist. I just need to know that the charts are telling me, along with volume, that The shares want to go higher, or the spot price wants to go higher, and who am I to argue? So Palladium is looking good. What didn't I go over? I didn't go over, forget silver. I didn't want to look at silver. Bonds. Not pretty. Not pretty at all. So we have broken support. On bonds. This is the 10-year note. Excuse me. And if the 10-year note is moving lower this morning, that means that yields are pressing higher. And in the short run, the stock market could still rally on those rising yields to a point. So it looks like we're coming down here. Ultimately, before we see a defense. Last time we were down at the support level was on the 28th of January. All right, so bonds are weak. We'll leave off at the Russell 2000. Then we go to the member stock chart requests. Sorry for the dead air, folks. If I was on radio, I'd be in trouble right now from my producer. Here's the Russell. The Russell yesterday on a daily basis rallied up and into a resistance level, then sold off. We do have a new daily high today, which should firmly take us above that resistance level. But I think as Trent and Sam have pointed out, the question is not where we trade pre-market. It's not where we trade in the morning. It's how we close out the day. In short, do we see a sell-off into strength as we've seen these past couple of trading days, especially on the Dow? And will this day result, if it's an up day, will we see volume? And that's key as well. So it's a very pretty morning, but it's a long time between now and 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll see what the day brings. And we do have economic data that's coming out fairly soon. Let's go to some member stock chart requests. The first one up is Roku. The last time we spoke about this one, it was in a trading range. This is a weekly chart, and we were seeing topping action, which ultimately resulted in Roku breaking down below this lower band of support. And that was last week. This week we're retesting it in an effort to try to recapture. But at current, no bueno. We're right at resistance. Let's go to the daily chart. Much of the same on the daily chart. I mean, we spiked up higher yesterday. Closing above this secondary downtrend line. But here's your primary up here. Before I got long of Roku, I'd want to see a close above this upper band of resistance. And this would represent a breakout on a daily and weekly basis. We'll keep this active since we have a weekly setup here as well for the next several trading days. And we're good to go. There's our alert. If it breaks down, I don't care. So we're not going to set an alert on a breakdown. Let's take a quick look at a 4-hour chart. No compelling reason to get long here right now. We're still seeing a lot of topping action. Every time there's strength, you're seeing some sellers move in and sell that strength. So I would avoid at current and allow, let's bring up the raindrop charts. Raindrop charting is a mixture of volume weighted moving average and candlestick charting. I see no compelling reason to get long here. I would avoid right now. Let the alerts work for you. Go about your day. If you get your alert fired off, then revisit as a potential long. What else do we have up? CGC, Canopy Growth. I haven't looked at this one in a while. This should be interesting. So here was the big sell-off. We've rallied. We've had an inverted head and shoulders setup. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, neckline. We broke above it, pulled back. We're now retesting it on a weekly basis. Very interesting. Let's see what we have on a monthly view. Not that there's much data here. Not much. So we'll stick with the weekly and daily charts. Let's go to a daily now. Okay. So I think this could be played two ways. One of two. There are two ways to play it. Okay, if you have a lot of risk tolerance, you can buy the shares right here, right now. Just keep a tight stop right below either the lows of February 3rd or the lows, if you want to keep it really loose, the lows of the 27th of January. Me personally, I'd use the lows of yesterday. And if you were looking to add, I would buy on a breakout above this upper band of resistance. Why'd you do that? That would be interesting. I want to know pretty quickly, since I'm using the daily chart, CGC. We'll keep this active for 5 days. Triggered twice. Okay, we're good to go. I'm not ready to go buying here at the support level. Excuse me. I would rather wait for strength, especially given how far the markets have come these past couple of trading days. and the fact that Canopy hasn't done much in that time frame. So I would be cautious here, because if we get a sell-off and CGC hasn't at least traded with the market, if we get a sell-off in the market, CGC just may not be able to hold the support level. So I would rather wait for strength. 4-hour chart. Again, looking for a breakout here above resistance. So it's a show me stock. It has to show us that it's got the ability to break out, and it has some bids below. Let's go to Baidu, and then we'll talk about, hey RL, do I like the new scanner? I do. I'm still learning it. There's a lot to it, and I think that it's going to be a very, very helpful tool in the future. So I've been waiting for it, and I've been back and forth with Team TrendSpider. They've been giving me some tips on how best to use it, and I need to know every little idiosyncrasy of the scanner, so I ask a lot of questions. But in the end, it'll give me a more higher level and detailed view of how to use the functionality. I think that it's really, really good, and they have more stuff coming out too. So I'm impressed with the product and how it's developing. Let's go to Baidu. RL, are you using it at all? I'd love to get your feedback as well. And folks, I know many checked in to talk about Tesla. We're going to go to Tesla. We're going to close out the session with Tesla. Baidu. Weekly view. It's kind of in no man's land. Not yet? Okay. Excuse me, folks. I'm sorry. I'm coming down with something. All right, we're in no man's land here. And frankly, I'm not loving the Chinese stocks right now. I wouldn't short it. You're seeing some topping action already this week. It is within a channel, a rising uptrend channel, but it's not sexy. Let's go to a daily chart. No. Look what they did yesterday. And this is what I'm worried about for this entire market when they rip it higher in the morning, only to close it well off the highs of the day. And I'm worried about that for the entire market, which is why I don't want to go chasing this market. Given the bright green futures, I think it's a trap ultimately. And you're seeing on the 3rd, you saw big topping tails. This was an indicator that you're probably going to get a reversal day on Baidu. Yesterday, we got that. So I can't buy these shares. I think that you're seeing way too much selling into strength here. So I would avoid. Baba, we'll just bring it up quickly. Alibaba's looking a little bit better, but again, it looks like it's getting popped up higher on short covering, and I'm not interested in anything Chinese right now. Any mainland Chinese companies, I'm not interested in. Too much shenanigans going on over there. Let's bring up Tesla. First, we'll go to the pre-market. We did short Tesla yesterday using the I know, Sam. I got your point. We did short Tesla using the 900 puts with the strike price going out to the 14th of February. And I'll bring it to a 15-minute chart. And you can see just the hot money rotating in yesterday in the late afternoon, in hindsight, was just ridiculous. Then, of course, we had this bearish reversal bar. We added more to our short. Late in the afternoon, we shorted, well, early in the morning, and then we added more to the short late in the afternoon, and then, like seconds later, the shares just plunged. And one of the rare times I got a great fill with an immediate reaction that was favorable. So we could book profits this morning, assuming that we open up where we're at or lower. But given the fact that on a daily basis, let's bring up Tesla. We closed out the day yesterday above the third standard deviation Bollinger Band in red. If you watch me for any length of time, you'll know that to me, that's like a red cape to a bull. I'm looking at it, I'm looking to short. And add to that, we have RSI, which closed out the day yesterday on a daily basis at 93.06. And again, very, very overbought. Still, even after a big drop yesterday afternoon, a lot of froth left in this name. So there's a good chance that we pull down and we fill this gap here with a 7 handle. And we'll put out an advanced order looking to get filled close to that number. I'm not going to hold out for the last best penny. I'm trading put options that have time decay, so I want to book my profits pretty quickly here. So we'll be looking to book profits fairly soon, probably today, and make those real. Members, an alert will be sent out to you when we close out that trade. You can see that we are weakening this morning yet again, which is good stuff for us. LK, let's take a look at it. Dead cat bounce. It was a dead cat bounce yesterday, but they did manage to recapture a support level. Actually, 2. Resistance at 36.93, which was the high of the day yesterday. It was support back here in late December. I think it's just a dead cat bounce. And with that, folks, I'm going to say everybody have a very, very profitable day. If I could ask you to please click that like button, I'd really appreciate it. Tomorrow night we will be doing the Members in a Circle, where I review the symbols of our members. So please join us. And everybody have a very, very profitable day. You too, Sam. And be well. Thank you.